Hello everyone, welcome to my Java programming course. Today, we will discuss two-dimensional arrays and write some examples. A two-dimensional array in Java is an array of arrays, which means each element of the main array is another array. This structure can be visualized as a table or a matrix with rows and columns. To declare a two-dimensional array, you specify the type of elements it will hold, followed by two sets of square brackets, and then the array name. Next, after the equal sign, you need to specify the keyword new, followed by the array type again, and then in square brackets specify the size of the array for rows and columns, as you can see on the screen. We can also create the array similarly to how we did with the one-dimensional array. Here, the first set of curly braces represents one row in the array, and each element within this row represents the columns. Now, to display the elements of this array in the console, you need to use a loop and a nested loop. This means creating one loop inside another loop. This is necessary to iterate through all the elements of the array. Here, the condition in the second loop means that the index should be less than the size of the first row of the array. Here's how it works. First, the outer loop will get the index of the first row in the array. Then, the inner loop will start iterating through each element in the row by columns. Once it has processed all elements in the row, the inner loop completes, and the outer loop will take the next row index. The inner loop will then run again, and this process will continue similarly for all rows and columns. As we can see, it worked as expected. First, the elements of the first row were printed, followed by the elements of the other rows. Now let's create a two-dimensional array of strings where we'll store names. And let's print the contents of this created two-dimensional array to the console. Just like we did earlier with the previous array. As we can see, all the names were displayed in the console in the same order as they appear in the array. For output, we used the tabulation character /t, which represents 4 spaces. Additionally, we used print instead of println. The difference between them is that print outputs the information on the same line, while println moves the cursor to the next line. Let's create another text array where we will store a copy of the names from the first array, but this time we will swap the rows and columns. For this, we need to interchange the indices I and j during the assignment so that I goes to columns and j goes to rows. This way, everything will work as planned. As we can see, everything is working correctly. Now let's create an example where we find the maximum number in a two-dimensional array. To do this, we'll create an integer array and populate it with numbers. Next, we create an integer variable and assign the first number of the array to it as the initial maximum value. Now, in the loop, we write a condition to check if the current number in the array is greater than the maximum value. If the condition is true, we update the maximum value variable with the new number, otherwise, we keep the current maximum value unchanged. The maximum number in the array is 12, as we have seen from the console output. Here is a guide on how to work with two-dimensional arrays. Now try to write code using two-dimensional arrays on your own and also write code to find the minimum value in an array. Thank you for your attention, and see you in the next lessons.